Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the IAM 2020 Corporate Connect event. My name is Srividya Vaidyanathan, and I am the General Secretary for IAM 2020. Welcome you all to this Corporate Connect event. I would like to begin by saying that everybody on this event is muted on entry. We will make sure that you get an opportunity to speak later on when the Q&A session opens. So until then, please bear with us. So IAM is a nonprofit organization that was established in 1973, and we mainly charter to building strong and cohesive community of 50,000 plus strong Asian Indians. We represent the Asian Indian diaspora to the society at large in Minnesota. We serve as a focal point for advancing the cultural, charitable, academic, political, and professional interests of Asian Indian community in Minnesota. And our mission and values stand on our three pillars of culture, charity, and connection. And all our events and associations with the community during the year are based off of these three pillars. IAM is a 100% volunteer-based organization, and we always welcome people to join us. You can join us at any time of the year by going on our website, www.iamn.org. This year, in continuing with our commitment and tradition to our mission, we are bringing to you all our events, as always, but on a virtual platform. Our marquee event, India Fest, is also being brought to you on a virtual platform, presenting the rich heritage, culture, and diversity of India. And this year, the event is spread across multiple weeks, starting from July 4th, ending on August 15th, marking both the Independence Days. In front of you on the screen are our event leads for India Fest, Suyash Jain and Pranesh Patel. Typically, India Fest is organized across various plethora of things like food, cultural exhibits, activities, bazaars, student scholarships, and parade by our regional organization partners and nonprofit partners. We are having all the same platforms this year too, but on a virtual medium. We hope you would join us tomorrow as well. We have our next installment coming to you tomorrow live on our website. A glimpse of our event from the past years is here just to refresh our memories. And we hope to resume this next year, and you all will join us for that event. Coming to today's event, the Corporate Connect is led by Swati Agarwal and our intern, Jeevan. The event is an effort on the same lines, providing a platform to professionally connect, expand your network. Our goal will be to bring the professionals and employee resource groups together to spark thoughtful conversations that can be turned into meaningful action on current topics, including impact of the pandemic, social and racial justice, work-life harmony, immigration, reskilling, and resilience in the face of constant changes. The agenda for today would be, we have an esteemed group of panelists. We will be introducing them to you, followed by a small cultural performance. Then Srini, our president, would be sharing his message with the attendees. Then we would be having a panel discussion, followed by a moderated Q&A session, with the event ending with closing remarks. And there would be a small survey, and we would appreciate you participating in the survey. That will help us incorporate your feedback moving forward. Just a refresher of our past events of similar corporate connects, which we used to call as Connect Asia in prior years. So I bring to you our moderator for today, Mr. Arun Bachu, who is a research director with Gartner. His role at Gartner, where he specializes in AI-driven open source cloud native application design and development process across the software development lifecycle. Arun works to create thought-leading research in modern application design and development and advises IT leaders. Prior to joining Gartner, Arun served as the Vice President of Engineering with UHG and also served as in the role of Director of Digital Product Management and Development with Best Buy. With this, they always say, your network is your net worth. So I hand over this event now to Mr. Arun Bachu to introduce you all to our esteemed panelists. Here you go, Arun.
Thank you very much. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Srini. Thank you, IAM, for giving me this truly an honor and privilege, to introduce the panelist and our keynote speaker. And we'll start out with an introduction to MR. He's got a mile-long resume, so I'll be try to be short. So MR is the founder and chairman of is a software executive, investor, entrepreneur, corporate eco-strategy expert, community builder, and philanthropist. Right? He's recognized as a software business expert. He's participated in a rapid expansion of the Silicon Valley industry. During his tenure as an executive of both large and small software companies. In '97, MR co-founded a group called Sandal Group, and it's one of the earliest angel investment firms and was featured on the front page of Wall Street Journal at that time. He produced the prestigious enterprise and software conferences that were held in Silicon Valley. He was also listed on the Forbes Midas list of investors. In 2007, MR embarked on a new venture as a founder of the Corporate Eco Forum, an invitation-only membership organization for global 500 companies that demonstrates a serious commitment to the environment as a business strategy issue. And in 2012, MR founded Indiaspora to unite Indian Americans to transform their success into meaningful impact in India and across the global stage. And with that, MR, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Arun, and thank you, Ram and Srini, for having me here. And again, the problem with the long resume is that means you're old. I wish I was like many of you in the audience with a very short resume. So with age comes experience and a lengthy resume. But thank you so much for having me, and good evening, everyone. It's great to be in the state of Minnesota. Although I'm not a politician, it's good to say that. But I'm very excited to be with all of you today because when Ram and Srini called me, they wanted me to talk about the new normal, or what is the new normal going to be. And I'd already been doing a lot of work around that area. I'm sure Arun at Gartner Group has done even more research on this, but let me give you my perspective from San Francisco and Silicon Valley with what the new normal might look like. And that would give food for thought to the panel to really also discuss whether I have good stuff or it's full of something else. So in any case, the new normal came about with COVID. So as soon as COVID started, the first thing that happened was the workforce had to work from home for the most part. If you were a white collar worker, you had to do everything you did at the office or at your workplace from home, correct? So that was the first big change, I think, that took place. What does this mean? It means a lot of stuff. You work from home, you may not have an office, you may not have the right equipment, you may not have the bandwidth, you may not have so many things to make you more productive or make you as productive at the office. But I think early research actually has found most people have actually gotten more productive at home, but that comes at a cost. Because I think everybody's working more hours and staying ahead of the game, also causing burnout. So I think companies need to realize that, and as individuals, we need to realize that and actually pace ourselves as opposed to working. Initially, if you recall, all of you, and I was in this mode, you work 12 hours a day, you work 7 days a week. There's no weekend, there's no weekday. You end up getting caught in this new environment. And then soon, after a couple of weeks, a lot of us started getting tired or getting less productive and so forth, right? So I think that staying at home is here to stay. And when you look at all the big companies in my backyard in Silicon Valley, people like Google and Facebook and others have sent a clear message that their employees are not going to be asked to come back till June of 2021. Okay. So this gives you some indication of what companies are planning to do with their workforce in future years, right? At the same time, if you're a frontline worker, you are there out in the hospital, or you're out actually in restaurants and other businesses, you've got to actually be out in the physical world, but you got to take a lot of precautions. So I think it's also brought a certain amount of stress to anybody in the community who's got to deal with other people. Because most of us, I think, are now got into a habit where we don't want to meet anyone, right? We just want to order something online and Amazon drops it off at my doorstep, or you want to order food, the DoorDash guy just drops, a Postmates guy just rings your doorbell and runs away, and you have your food. But those are the people who are actually at risk, and you're trying to protect yourself. So I think we also have this tension, unintentional tension between frontline workers and others who are trying to stay safe at the same time. So I think the world has changed now to working at home and being safe if you're a frontline worker, right? That's one big, I think, trend that's come here today. The second thing is about digitization. You know, Satya Nadella said, hey, in 2 months, we've done what takes 2 years, okay? And I would say it's even greater now, right? Probably in 3 months, we've done things that would have done in 20 years because anything and everything we want to do has to be digitized, whether it's your products, your marketplaces, your catalogs, your business, your entire business has to be digital so that your customers can deal with you. And then on the other side, your suppliers also have to be with you. So the entire system you're working with has to be digital, has to be completely e-commerce enabled and contactless, right? So that has come about again in the last 5 months. So you've got digitization, you've got e-commerce, everything is upon us today. And that's changed the models of all of you in the audience. You're working in companies, you know, how are you going to deal with customers? How are you going to deal with vendors? How are you going to deal with your employees? Your whole world, in effect, has become the new normal for now. Now, I don't know how long this is going to continue, and it's up to the panelists after me to maybe debate and talk about that and bring some semblance of reality to all of us. The other thing that's happened is the supply chain. I think a lot of you in manufacturing companies have noticed that most of our supply chains over the last 20 years has gone to one country in the world. And we all know where that is. It's in Asia, and it's a country called China. So if the Chinese supply chain got disrupted in the early days of COVID, all our supply chains got disrupted. And so as Indians, most of us are Indians in the audience, again, here's an opportunity for India to step ahead and become a second source. And even if India got 10% of the supply chain China has today, India is going to be a very prosperous country as well. So again, there are opportunities. Whenever there are problems, there are opportunities. So here's an opportunity for Indian Americans and India to step up and look at alternate supply chains that really can work if there's another pandemic or there's another global catastrophe. So that's something for us to think about. Those of us in the healthcare field, again, major changes, right? How many of you have gone into a hospital or doctor's office for a non-essential look? I think very few people have ventured into a doctor's office. In fact, many of us, if we wanted to contact our doctor, you know, there's an online application. Your iMessage has been used with video to talk to some of your doctors or nurses and stuff, right? The whole healthcare industry is now moving rapidly towards telemedicine, not just to examine patients, but then you may also need to have different kind of diagnostics that may be on your body, right? So that you can do telehealth and you can actually, for example, hear your heartbeat. Now there's stethoscopes that have replaced the traditional stethoscope, an electronic stethoscope. You put it on your heart and your doctor gets your heartbeat, you put it all over your back, you do things as instructed, and he's got that whole set of data with him or her to analyze your needs. I'm an angel investor as well, having invested in over 100 companies. I just invested in a company that can actually analyze your lungs. You just put on a thing that looks like a life vest, It's got 80 different sensors on it, and it's not an X-ray, but it's a sensor-based thing that gives you a whole chart of your lungs, okay, and what it looks like. So all these kinds of devices are coming because of the fact that we can't be to a doctor's office. But I think a lot of these things are going to be here to stay as well. So I think the whole healthcare space is being disrupted. Meetings and interactions. I mean, I would have flown to Minnesota from San Francisco to be with all of you today, right? But heck, I don't have to do that. I can sit in the comfort of my home. All of you can be in the comfort of your homes, and we can have this set of meetings and interaction. So again, the whole meetings industry has been completely disrupted and may be here to stay for a long, long time, because people like me are more available because we have more time. I don't have to fly out to Minnesota. I can just do this for 45 minutes and be done. And I can still interact with you. Maybe I can't give you a handshake. Maybe I can't give you a hug. But Eric Yuan, who's a friend of mine, said that Zoom is coming up with virtual hugs and virtual handshakes. So wait for that to happen pretty soon. But I don't think it's going to replace the physical world. But again, this industry has been disrupted, right? And with that we have disrupted the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, and on and on and on and on, right? So those changes have to be factored into the new normal. And sports. Hey, all of us are cricket fans and football fans and baseball fans. We can't go to a game, but we can watch the game now. It looks like a basketball game or a baseball game or a cricket match. But guess what? It's not the same feeling with fans being there yelling and screaming. You know, how do you engage fans in the new world of the new normal with applications and our TV sets actually becoming more interactive? Again, here are new opportunities for those of you who are entrepreneurs out there, right? Take a look at even sports. It's not going to be the same in the future. So what am I trying to tell you at this point? The new normal is here, but the new normal is also going to change, because maybe in a year, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, hopefully there are drugs for COVID. If you do get COVID, unfortunately, there are ways to treat you without getting into the ICU. And I think doctors are becoming much better with that in general. As you look across, the number of deaths per caseload is actually coming down, because I think the healthcare community has figured out that there are certain medications you can get, certain processes you can follow that lessens the impact of you actually having COVID. That's one side of the equation. The other side is the holy grail. When is there going to be a vaccine? And I have the answer, if you're paying attention, and that is nobody knows, right? None of us really know. We keep guessing it'll be next quarter, it'll be next year. Companies are buying billions of vaccines in the hope one of them will work. Nobody really has a clue, guys. And I hope it's sooner than later, but we don't know. We'll have to plan that it's 6, 12, 18 months out. That's step one. Step two is, when is everybody going to get the vaccine? There's 6 billion of us in this world, right? Who's going to get priority? Which countries are going to get the vaccine first? Will it still be safe to travel? All these are unanswered questions as we move ahead. So the new normal as it exists today is just the next normal for now. And then the normal is going to keep changing as we get, let's say, more comfortable meeting physically. We get more comfortable traveling. We get more comfortable interacting with people and going to other countries. So that's going to take time. And I think it could take 6, 12, 18 months. We don't know. But I think as the world keeps coming to the new normal, the next new normal, whatever that is, I think we'll start making changes again. So maybe next year we will start going into work, but maybe not every day, right? Maybe there'll be flexible hours for all of us. So that could happen, which means the whole commercial real estate industry is going to have to dramatically change, you know, both with the physical layout of office space as we return to the office may have to be reconfigured. So then you may end up more real estate, or you may end up needing less real estate. We all don't know at this point. So if any of you making new leases right now, you are shooting in the dark. We have no idea. One of my friends is got four floors of space in San Francisco. He's trying to negotiate 2 more floors, and he has no idea what he should do, right? And we're going to all deal with these uncertainties as we keep slowly moving to whatever it is the next new normal is going to be, right? So that's what I think all of us are going to be faced with now, is a lot of uncertainty, taking a lot of risk, dealing with a lot of stress. But like I said, in these days are when, if you're, some of you are entrepreneurs or investors, new companies are going to get created. There are going to be lots of new opportunities. So people will have to get reskilled, and maybe all of us can get reskilled in some of the new skills that we will need in the next generation of employment that will come upon us. Okay, so that is also going to happen. So we're going to have to get reskilled, but also we might be able to start new companies as we move along. Yeah, and so that is also going to happen. And so as we do that, we will have more opportunities personally, as individuals or as investors, and all that is going to come upon us. So what is going to be the new normal? Let me leave you with some closing thoughts, and we'll get to the panel. So my understanding is there will be, you know, some kind of hybrid model. I don't know what that is going to entail, but it's going to have some vestiges of the old model that we came from prior to March. There's going to be some elements of this model that we have today in the COVID environment. And then we're going to move to some kind of hybrid model post-COVID, which might take 6, 12 to 18, 24 months. We don't know when that post-COVID environment is going to happen. So as we move along this trajectory, I really wish all of you much success. Please lower the stress levels, you know, take walks, get into mindfulness, do some exercises, do whatever it takes to make you feel better. But it's going to take a while before we get to the post-COVID environment. And I just want to wish all of you, as we make progress to this, success and good luck. So with that, I will stop and hand the mic back to the organizers. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Amar. That was fantastic, right? And thank you for spending the time with us. And, you know, you actually left some questions, which is very pertinent for the panelists, right? So Miguel is here. He, you know, he's with the Minnesota Twins. So I'm very curious about how the sports are going to look like, right, in the future. And then I also have questions to Guy and others. So thanks for setting the stage. And that leads us to the next introduction of a message from Steve Grove, who cannot be with us physically or live, but he's got a message for us. Wanted to just introduce a little bit about Steve Grove. Steve leads the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, which is called DEED, as Commissioner of the state's Principal Workforce. In the Economic Development Agency, he brings a wealth of private sector and civic experience to the department. And he's actually originally from Northfield, Minnesota, and he's focused on growing the state's workforce. He's very dynamic. He wants to close the opportunity gap and providing businesses with the help they need to grow, stay, and thrive. So Commissioner Grove was actually previously an executive of Google, at Google for 12 years, and most recently serving as the founding director of Google's News Lab, a global division of the company. He has built teams over 12 countries and launched partnerships in over 50 countries. And he also led a technology training effort that trained over 500,000 people every year. Grove also led Google's civic engagement work, including the company's nonpartisan voter information and get out to vote outreach efforts. And he holds a master's in public policy and a BA in economics from Claremont McKenna College. And along with his wife, Mary, Commissioner Grove also co-founded a nonprofit called Silicon North Stars. And its purpose is to help youths from underserved communities in Minnesota to pursue careers in technology. And that leads us to a message from Steve.
Hello, everybody. Steve Grove here, Commissioner of DEED. Thrilled to get the chance to talk with all of you over video, inside of your video stream. That's the state of technology today, and certainly the state of our pandemic. But really appreciate the chance to talk with all of you today, and are so glad that you have joined together tonight for this event. The Indian Association of Minnesota has done so much to make our state great. We've seen most recently the way that you've put together a cloth mask drive to supply those in need with masks, and even just coming together like this and having this professional network to support each other to grow this community in our state is really critical. I myself, in my early 20s, spent about 6 months in India. It was probably the most fascinating 6 months of my life. It's an incredible country. I feel like every 30 miles that I went, I was in a new culture with a new language and new things to explore. And I loved my time there. I've been back several times since professionally, and will say we are proud to have a strong Indian community in our state, and proud of the Indian Association of Minnesota for bringing you all together. I want to say a special thank you to Srini Cheka for inviting me to come and share a few thoughts tonight. And I know you're grappling with many of the same topics that professionals and business leaders and organizations across our state are grappling with, which is, how do we get through this pandemic? How do we preserve our economy and help it grow? How do we not lose this opportunity that comes with the kinds of chaos that we've seen unfold over the past 4 or 5 months of this pandemic? And not lose that opportunity to really push for meaningful change. And, here at the Department of Employment and Economic Development, I say here as if I'm in the building, but I'm in my basement right now, like many of you are, I'm sure too. We're doing everything we can to manage this pandemic from an economic perspective. Obviously, focus very heavily on unemployment insurance and helping the over 900,000 Minnesotans who've applied for unemployment insurance since this all began achieve those benefits. We're doing a ton on helping small businesses navigate a time that is more challenging than one they've ever had before. We've had a small business relief grants program that is putting into the market 6,000 different $10,000 grants to small businesses across the state. And increasingly, we are trying to help people across the state find jobs. And that's really the workforce part of what we do. We know so many people have been dislocated from their work based on reasons no fault of their own. And that's really our department's job, is to help them, find ways to new employment at a difficult time. But government's just a part of the solution, and it's groups like these and networks like these that are going to be critical to helping us navigate the path forward. And we know that path is harder for people of color in our state. The statistics are pretty alarming. When you look at the unemployment rate for people of color compared to white folks in Minnesota, it's more than double in many cases. And that's not acceptable. It's never been acceptable. And certainly in the era of George Floyd's murder, as we grapple with that challenge here in Minnesota and across the world, we have an opportunity to really change the dynamic of our state's economy and make it better for everyone. And that challenge has really been animated inside of our department, and with guidance from the governor and lieutenant governor, we've got to get that right. I think, to put it mildly, this is a time for new ideas and innovation. When we came into this office at DEED, my background wasn't in government. I came from Google before I was in this job, and part of the reason that I was asked to come in here was to try to bring a fresh lens to how government can provide services, and also to who we want to make sure succeeds in our state, given where the economy is headed. And part of that was startups and innovation. We've worked a lot to put together a program called Launch Minnesota that helps early stage startups make a go of it and makes Minnesota the kind of place where you want to start a company. The kind of place where an extraordinary Indian American, Dipinder Singh, can launch a company like 75F and really make it grow into a company that has raised so much venture capital and has a really great product that is growing and is successful. These are the kinds of stories that we want to see develop in Minnesota to really make this the kind of place where the next Fortune 500s will be developed. The innovation we're engaged in now is very different in the sense that we're in a situation today where we have to find ways to deliver our services remotely and virtually. So we've had to build an entirely new mechanism for job training in our career force system virtually over video conference, partner with companies like Coursera to get free courses in front of people. It's the kind of time where you've got to find a way to do things differently and to hang in there when things are tough. And we know this is difficult for business professionals and leaders and workers and all sorts of Minnesotans. And it's the kind of moment where if our state can band together, if we can work together, we can kick this pandemic, keep the numbers at a place where we can start to reopen our economy even further, and get back to business and put Minnesota on the map once again is a phenomenal place not only to live and to work, but to raise a family and to see prosperity. And ultimately the kind of place where no matter what your background is, no matter what the color of your skin, you can succeed and thrive here in our state. And it's going to take hard work to get there. It's going to take partnerships between the public and private sector, and we're eager to work with the Indian Association of Minnesota to do that. So again, thanks for having me. It's a short video message, but just wanted to thank you for coming together tonight, for all your leadership in the state, and wish you the very best. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Arun. And any organization like India Association of Minnesota cannot do without all our wonderful corporate partners. So here we present you with a couple of our corporate partners and what they have to say.
Hello, my friends. This is Miguel Ramos from the Minnesota Twins. I would like to congratulate you for the celebration that we put together with the India Fest. But more important, I want to say to you, thank you for the bottom of my heart, for your commitment, for your work of promoting unity, respect, social justice, equity, all year around, not only for the India Association, but for every community. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your collaborations. In a time of challenge, that's very important that we keep united and move forward together as one. That's what India Association means. So let's celebrate the best way that we can. But we hope see you soon, hug you, be with you, and enjoy this wonderful celebration. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for that wonderful message, Miguel. So these are our wonderful partners, corporate partners, and supporters who have been with us over the years and helped us grow as a nonprofit organization and serve our community year after year. We thank them all. Having said that, any event needs a good break in the momentum and a little bit of entertainment. So bringing to you a cultural performance from our cultural partner, SAT, also known as South Asian Arts and Theatre House. Enjoy, everyone. Before that, I'm sorry. Let me just talk about them a little bit. SAT celebrates cultural diversity, social harmony through a joy of performance arts and related cultural traditions. The organization exists to bring people from all ethnic backgrounds, ages, and sexual orientations to create a safe place to interact and share skills. SAT has several free online programs currently: ballet Bharatanatyam technique on Wednesdays, choreography classes on Thursdays, dance workout classes on Saturday mornings, and yoga classes on Sunday mornings. They also are working on a film web-based series project. You can follow them on Instagram at SATMN, or you can visit them on their website, satmn.org. They're really awesome. You can take our word for that. Here's a cultural presentation from them.
ಅಯ್ಯಯ್ಯೋ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನ, ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಈ ಸಡನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಗೆ ನೀನೇ ಕಾರಣ. ಕೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ ತಾಯಾಣೆಗೂ ನಾನಂತೂ ಇವಳನ್ನ, ಅವನಾಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಇಂತ ಹೈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿನ. ನಿನ್ನಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ರೇಂಜು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಡವ 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 ನನ್ನ ಹಾಡು ಹುಚ್ಚಿಡ್ದಂಗ್ ಬಡ್ದಾಡಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ದೇ ಇರೋ ಮೀಸೆ ತಿರುಗಿಸೋ ಆಸೆ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಹೊಸ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ ಸಖತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ. ಲವ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಲದ್ದು ಬಂದು ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನಂಬಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಲವ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ನಿಲ್ಲೋಕೆ ಎರಡು ಕಾಲು ಭೂಮಿ ಮೇಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಲವ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಲದ್ದು ಬಂದು ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನಂಬಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
ఇంతకన్నా మంచి పోలికేది నాకు తట్టలేదు గాని అమ్మో, ఈ లవ్ అనేది బబ్లు గమ్ము, అంటుకున్నదంటే పోదు నమ్ము. ముందు నుంచి అందరన్న మాటే గాని మళ్ళీ అంటున్నానే అమ్ము, ఇది చెప్పకుండా వచ్చే తుమ్ము, ప్రేమ నా పలేవు నన్ను నమ్ము. ఎటగానే ఎదురు చూపుకి తగినట్టుగా నువ్వు బదులు చెబితివే. అరే దేవుడా, లోపటే పిల్లడాంట దగ్గరై నన్ను చేరదీస్తివే. బుట్ట బొమ్మ నన్ను చుట్టుకుంటివే, జిందగీకే అడ్డ బొమ్మై జంట కట్టుకుంటివే. బుట్ట బొమ్మ నన్ను చుట్టుకుంటివే, జిందగీకే అడ్డ బొమ్మై జంట కట్టుకుంటివే.
Hope everybody is refreshed now, and let's welcome Srini Chekka, the president of IAM for 2020. All yours, Srini.
Thanks, Srividya. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening. Change, social distancing, resilience, grit, gratitude, well-being, justice, the new normal. These are some of the many powerful words that resonate with us in these unprecedented times. I'm Srini Chekka, President of India Association of Minnesota. First, I want to thank all the distinguished leaders at today's event, keynote speaker M.R. Rangaswamy, moderator Arun Bachu, our panelists, and all of the attendees from more than 40 different organizations all across Minnesota, and including a few from outside the state. Your willingness to listen, network, and share benefits us all in this conversation. I realize I'm standing between you and a very exciting interactive panel discussion and insights from our distinguished panelists. So I'll just take a few minutes to update you about all the good work we've been doing here at IAM with the help of our partners on our community platform. What a year this has been. Back in September last year, when we started planning for 2020, we wanted this year to be a year of inflection and change, and a year where we lay the foundation for IAM Vision 2023, a model where we pool community resources to amplify the value of the impactful work that our partner organizations do. You can see the 2020 theme on the slide here, community outreach, and we established this theme last October, and the focus was on strengthening the IAM platform, and truly amplifying the value that we provide to the community. When the pandemic struck in mid-March, our plans got disrupted, our finances were depleted, we were frankly a bit lost. But I will say this, when you know your true north and you have clarity around your purpose and values, you figure things out step by step. not alone, but with the collective help of everyone around you. In fact, our deep-rooted relationships and decades of partnerships that we built in the community positioned us to embrace the challenges and figure out creative ways to carry on with our mission. I want to thank all of the IAM alumni, our partner organizations, and our community organizers for helping us continue the work. So what have we been up to? Srividya, can you go to the next slide?
Mm-hmm.
A few different initiatives. Civic engagement. We are a census complete count committee. What that means is we've committed to making sure all Asian Indians in the state of Minnesota and the broader Minnesota community complete their census self-reporting form and get counted. All of you know the importance of census counts, helps drive political representation, lots of funding, and many other things. And we've been pretty successful. Minnesota leads the nation right now in self-reporting counts. Spice the vote, vote by mail. Elections are coming up. Here's the pandemic. So voting by mail is going to be an extremely important initiative this year. We want to make sure everyone participates in the process and completes their vote through mail. Relief efforts, COVID-19 relief efforts. We have been doing a lot of great work with a 200+ volunteer task force. I have another slide, so I'm going to expand on it when I get to that slide. Social and racial justice. So this is a topic that obviously was latent and did not surface to the ground and up above the ground until the murder of George Floyd. We have been, like everyone else, we have been investing time and doing our bit to create more awareness and then also help the community. So in that spirit, ongoing education and tools to address racial injustice, and then also support for a few organizations, including Urban Impact Coalition and the Father Project. In fact, Guy Bowling with the Father Project is on our panel, and he's going to talk about what they do and all the great work that they're doing to uplift fathers. I also want to call out the many events we do throughout the year. And obviously, we've been doing these events in a slightly different format now, but Connect India, which is our kickoff event for the year, where we bring all the partner organizations together to really set the stage for the rest of the year. We did that at the end of Jan. Yoga Day, International Yoga Day, to recognize the importance of yoga. We did that in a virtual format. India Fest, in fact, is a series of events from July 4th all the way through August 15th. Srividya talked about India Fest. And this particular Corporate Connect Day is part of India Fest series of events. We are excited. We have a lot going that we are able to do in this format. And then we have 3 more events coming up. Golf Day, which we are going to do, obviously, while maintaining social distancing rules. Nonviolence Day, to celebrate Mahatma Gandhi's birthday on October 2nd and talk about non-collaboration, talk about the importance of nonviolence, which is even more relevant in current times. And then Dhanyavad, which is our event at the end of the year to express our gratitude to everyone that has worked with us. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, so a little bit about our COVID-19 relief efforts. When the pandemic struck mid-March-ish, we brought together a coalition of 35+ partner organizations, various volunteer groups, and concerned community members. And with their help, we jump-started a COVID-19 task force to help the broader Minnesota community need through a coordinated and collective effort. And you can see the infographic and the impact that we as a coalition have created and were able to accomplish. The work still continues. Lots of cloth masks running into the thousands, a lot of food delivery to address food insecurity. And we also did a lot of webinars around health and well-being. And with that, our coalition task force is still working hard to address the many needs. Want to share some exciting good news with you all. Today, we issued a press release in collaboration with the Rotary Club of Maple Grove. And basically, the Rotary Club of Maple Grove with IAM as a collaborating organization has been awarded a $60,000 global grant from Rotary International to use in distributing COVID-19 medical equipment and medical consumables to essential frontline healthcare workers in Minnesota. This project will complement all of the great work that is already happening with our COVID-19 relief efforts. And we, together with the Rotary Club of Maple Grove, we intend to make a transformative impact in our community. We will continue to explore partnerships with like-minded organizations. So just want to, in closing, I want to just call out that nonprofits like IAM and all our partner organizations can teach us all a lot during these times. If you're not involved with one, I urge you to take the time to look into the many resources and tools available. I myself work at United Health Group often, and we have access to a wide variety of resources and tools to give back to the community. You will find a lot at your very own workplace. I want to especially thank the IAM team for the many countless hours that they've invested along with their families to carry on the good work. We will come out stronger at the other end of this pandemic. Stay safe and healthy. Enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Srini. And now we'll present our next corporate sponsor, NPR.
When NPR News was started in 1967, the country was chaotic and conflicted. NPR News was made for this moment. Sense makers in a time of misinformation and overwhelm. Driven by facts and an obligation to the truth. NPR News, discovering what matters.
Back to you, Mr. Bachchu.
Thank you, Srividya and Srini. That's amazing work that you did, and what a lesson for all of us, right? To take away 11,000 or 12,000 miles driven with all those distribution. Congratulations on the award. Completely deserve it, and thank you very much. What I want to do now is basically introduce our panelists. We are so lucky to have these leaders spare time and bring their wisdom and experience of what they do to all of us. Miguel Ramos is the Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion Strategy of Minnesota Twins. Emma talked about the transformation of the sports industry that's going through, and the importance of equity, reaching your audience. And Miguel, I'm looking forward to your opening remarks. This is fantastic. The next panelist, if you can get to the next one, is Guy Bowling, a dynamic leader who is very well known for his Father Project, and he's got a wonderful story, inspiring a story to tell us. He also was recently awarded the prestigious Bush Fellow Award, which is, I guess, only about less than 50 people are awarded every year, and that is just so inspiring. I had a chat with him before, and it's just amazing stuff. Right? The next panelist is Sanjay. I actually have known Sanjay since we both were working at Best Buy, and he has been one of those inspiring, quiet leaders, who has is a wonderful following and a mentor for many folks. And one of the things that he's going to share with us is the very systematic and thoughtful work that Best Buy does in inclusivity and equality. It is, I think it's a model institution, a corporate that does takes equity very seriously. It has got employee research groups, and he's got a wonderful story to share with us. And then the last panelist, but not the least, and she's going to be the most vocal, I can tell you, having talked to her. I'll have to make sure she doesn't take over the world here in this panel. But Weena, right? So she is a lawyer. She's the executive director of the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, and she has got a ton of perspectives to share, highly opinionated, but very direct, and going to be very, very useful to us. So that's our panelist. My job is to just get out of the way and facilitate the discussion. What I want to do then is to request each of the panelists, right, to tell the story, what their role is, what wisdom and experience they can share, build upon what MR's shared, and start with that. A few minutes, I would love for each one of you to kind of share your story, your initial opening remarks, and then we will then have a discussion where we can build on each other's, comments and a few questions that I have prepared for you. What I would like to do is start out with Guy. Guy, what's your story? What's your message? Tell us about the Father Project and anything else you have for us.
Yeah, definitely. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Aaron. I'm so happy to be here. I can't tell you how I have been looking forward to this opportunity to share information about who I am and what I do. Always surprised that people like me to share my personal story in addition to my professional work. But again, my name is Guy Bowling. Again, delighted to be here. I'm the program manager of the Father Project. I'm just pleased, again, and honored for this opportunity. I'm a father. Well, a couple of most, I think, in my personal opinion, accomplishment that I have in my life that I've been able to do is I have the opportunity to say I am not only a father of two, a son who's married, and also I have a daughter who is in freshman year in college, but also I have two grandchildren that are 7 and 5, Gabriella and Jaden. So those are my most prestigious accomplishments to me on a personal level. I'm also been a manager of the Father Project for the last 20 years. I've had the privilege of mentoring, coaching, guiding, motivating hundreds and hundreds of dads over the years. My passion is just this work. My passion is, I can't see all of you right now, but if once I do, able to see the bigger group, I'd say for all of you that are on the phone that are parents, thumbs up. Grandparents, thumbs up. Parent figures, thumbs up. It's quite the job to have those roles, but I also am very, very passionate about living out, my work from being a young father myself to working with dads facing just substantial barriers. And in doing so, I've had the opportunity to watch them and see them impact their families and the community in so very, very powerful ways. So I really like to talk a little bit more. I was raised somewhat raised in my elementary and middle school years in Chicago, Illinois. And so we know the stereotype, or we know the imagery that we hear about Chicago. And I came from some rough areas and impoverished areas within Chicago, and experienced a lot of those things that you may or may have heard about in terms of those areas when I was growing up. But my mother decided as a single mother to relocate me and my siblings here to Minnesota for a better life. And so I came here in junior high. But even though we didn't have a whole lot, it was a loving home, no doubt about it, a loving home, me and my 3 siblings. And unfortunately, I had a absentee father who wasn't in my life, which influenced me and I think contributed to my decisions that I made. If you just look at the studies, I became a father at an early age, at the age of 16, and raised my son as a custodial father from 16 on till he went to college at 18. And he went on to college in Atlanta, Georgia, and went to Morehouse College, got his degree, and now, like I was saying earlier, he's married with 2 kids. And so that's a huge accomplishment just for the fact that I had no clue, had no roadmap, no direction, no instruction other than a loving mother who supported me that entire time. And so that also contributed to my passion. I think the other piece is that I'm not sure if you want me to get into specifically, Aaron, about the Father Project, but the last thing I wanted to say, unless you want me to talk more about it, oh yeah, we got it up here, so I will talk about the Father Project. But the other piece is that, the other piece is that I have a bachelor's in individualized studies from Metro State University. As you were saying earlier, I was very, very honored to be selected as a Bush Fellow for 2020. So that's a whole new process, a whole new thing for me. So I'm still on cloud like 12 as a result of that. And I hope to do some really good work as a result of the training and experience I'll get over the next couple of years as being a Bush Fellow. Also, I'd like to just talk a little bit about, so thanks again, everybody. And I agree with, what was said before I came on about the new normal. I mean, we're in an economic crisis. We're in a health crisis. We're in a, law enforcement, police, that particular crisis. If we've been exposed to the world, we're in a racial crisis. We just said a lot of things that are going on that has contributed to the new normal. So some of the things that's already been said through HR and Steve and even Srini, that is so critical at these times. And so, we saw everything from a couple of things related to Ahmaud Arbery. It's just kind of a perfect storm that kind of created this whole bigger pandemic of challenges, issues, and then all the way back to and down to George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd. But back to the 2020 initiatives of what IAM is trying to do, the Indian Association of Minnesota, what I'm totally in alignment with what I've been doing and what I want to do and what I want to continue to do. And so some of the ways I've been doing that already is through the Father Project. If you look at the first slide, the Father Project's mission is to assist fathers in overcoming barriers, preventing them from supporting their children economically and financially, emotionally, we started serving dads in 1999. Our goal is to, like I said, remove those barriers, reduce those barriers, eliminate those barriers. And we've been on Lake Street in South Minneapolis for about 2 years. We were right across the street from the 3rd precinct. We primarily serve men of color, African-American men who are low income, non-custodial. Most of them are unemployed or underemployed. Our space was unfortunately damaged, but we actually serve a multitude of racial, cultural, and ethnic fathers, and also in rural Minnesota. So majority of our guys, about 70% are African American, but we serve a number of guys from different backgrounds within the Twin Cities metropolitan area. Unfortunately, our program space at the Coliseum building on Lake Street, it was destroyed during the recent unrest after George Floyd, and so it's uninhabitable. It didn't burn down, but it's uninhabitable for right now due to those circumstances. And also, too, we're serving dads remotely from our main office in St. Paul over at the Goodwill site. But despite these, let me just say this, despite these challenging circumstances and dire funding, we're going to keep going. In the words of the great freedom fighter, Harriet Tubman, we're going to, regardless of the circumstances and obstacles, we're going to keep going and providing these services. And so let me get a little bit more about how we work. We support and motivate and encourage men in ways that are essential for them to become better dads. We provide individualized support to understand each father who walks through our doors and prioritize and respond to each of their needs, and then provide opportunities for self-development, peer support, parenting skills, and a pathway to self-sufficiency through employment, training, and a career. If you look at some of our partners, we have a robust network of community partners, everybody from early childhood, family education, GED. We provide child support services, legal services, and we have an extensive volunteer network. And then we do have employment, and we do have some fun. And just to see you guys, and I know my time is coming short. Thanks for moving the slides along. Some of the impact.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good, because I can keep talking. So just feel free to move me along. That's the great thing I like about your presentation. So just so you can see some of the impact that we've had, even though in the midst of government funding comes and goes, and the fact that we have went from a staff of about 40 just as of 5 years ago to now we're down to 3 folks, we still had a significant impact last year for guys that we served with only 3 staff. The more people we have working on our project, we once had 5 sites, the more we can serve fathers, because there's a huge need in terms of fathers that really need to take advantage of our services, not just in the Twin Cities Metro, but throughout the state. So the more staff we had, the more people can serve. The less staff, the numbers don't change in terms of the need, the less staff we can serve. So within the last year, even with only 3 staff, we were able to serve about 150 dads. 70 of those guys got jobs. Almost 80 of those guys completed our parenting class, which is the core of what we do. And then we have over 50 individuals rolled in GED. So a good personal friend of mine, a good colleague of mine, a good mentor and support person of mine is Anoop, who actually introduced me to the great work that you guys are doing. A number of you I've already had a chance to meet. So he's a volunteer with us in GED. And I was hearing earlier, being a quiet leader, I'm kind of a quiet leader behind the scenes, even though I can have a conversation like you guys see me talking now. But I'm a quiet person behind the scenes, but Anoop has just stayed on me and pushed me and pushed me and pushed me to just go out and continue to share the story about the work that we're doing and what we need. So I can only appreciate him for this opportunity as well. And so if you look at, go back to that last slide one time, just so you can see in terms of the, if you go back one slide, Who's ever controlling the slides? Go back one slide.
One more.
I'll get into where we are right now. So right now, we're the current status of us, 3 staff. We provide services remotely. We got a, we seek an interim. Okay, yeah. If you go back to that one, the last book, you go back to the last slide. Okay, stay here. Don't move. Don't. All right, leave it there. 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 All right.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Leave it there. Leave it there. Okay.
Technology. I'm sorry about the speed. Maybe the internet speed is the culprit here. I'm so sorry about that.
That just comes with the. That just comes with presentation. Hey, it's Friday. No worries. So the last thing I'll say is that we did have a wider research study on us for every $3. No, actually, there's a $3.41 return on every dollar invested in our program. That's the only thing I just wanted to stand out. We had a study that was done through wider research. So if we go to the next slide, there we go. So the current status, as I was already saying, 3 staff. We providing services remotely right now. We're seeking interim space because of the damage to our space. We want to stay in Minneapolis. Our budget is about $250,000, and Goodwill oversees all of those bigger infrastructure functions from HR, finance, payroll, and insurance. And right now we got about $110,000 towards that $250,000 per year. And we're just in dire need right now. We're going to keep going regardless, providing services, but we're looking for opportunities to continue to support our work. So right now we got a couple grants that are pending. We're aggressively pursuing other opportunities to continue the great work in healing dads and changing systems, specifically as it relates to what these guys are going through and trying to stabilize for themselves individually, for their families. We go to the next slide. So I'll just a little bit and then I'll wrap up, and any questions we can definitely take when there's time. But for the future, our hope is to keep our program up and running, keep our doors open, up and running. Right now, we're secure until the end of the year, but like I said, we got grants pending. We want to secure a location. We want to come back to that community. We want to stay there because we've been there for so long, and that's where the need is. That's where the dads are. That's where families are. That's where the big impact is within that community, so we can continue to not only manage and sustain what we have, but explore other ways to be able to replicate what we're doing throughout the state so we can serve more dads in the way that we once were. Like I said, the bigger the staff, the more people we can serve. And then lastly, we want to continue, well, not lastly, but we want to go back to the last slide. We want to further develop our virtual service and what we're doing, continue to serve dads, as I said. And more importantly, there's a leadership component to our program. So once the guys get in, we fix them up, or that's not the best term, but we get them in position of stability. We get them in position of family stability, but they just can't stop there. We ask them to come back and be leaders in the program. So we want to further develop them by putting them in a position to share their stories, have dialogue with the community, but also show them that they are one of the largest untapped resources that we have, because once they get in position to help themselves and their families, they want to give back to their community. So I'll wrap it up and leave it at that. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you very much, Guy. We just wanted to throw in a quick poll to the audience here. Do we have, yeah. If you could all please give your votes to your sentiments here to this question. And we'll end it here. Thank you so much for your votes. Moving on to our next corporate partner here.
Namaskaram. My name is Shweta Vijay Kumar. Greetings from the Asian community at Ecolab Employee Resource Group, where we believe in creating a sense of belonging for our Asian associates, as well as a space for non-Asian employees to learn more about the myriad of Asian cultures and communities. With several chapters across the U.S., we are proud to deliver unique programs for our growing membership base. This year, we started with Lunar New Year festivities and attended a production of Hmong Women's Experiences at the local Park Square Theater. We then pivoted to offer virtual events like Coping with COVID-19 and Disarming Discrimination, led by Dr. Tally Vang, behavioral psychologist at Hennepin Healthcare. We also celebrated Hanami, the Japanese cherry blossom festival, and commemorated Asian Heritage Month with video messages of hope and support from senior Ecolab executives. We at ACE believe deeply in ending racial injustice and advocating for Black Lives Matter. We are honored to partner with organizations like IAM in supporting these endeavors. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Okay.
Namaste.
At this point, I will pause this presentation here and hand over the floor back to Arun to get started on the panel discussion. Over to you, Arun. Thank you.
Absolutely. This is great. Guy, thanks for the introduction. I actually have, you talked about quietness and leadership. I think I have a new phrase for you. I think you are a gentle giant. Right? So a giant in what you do, but you're also gentle. I think that's the uniqueness, and that's what I find in all the panelists, and including the keynote, is that there is this power, but it's not overt. It's more like, and that to me, I think is a great message to take away from the audience. Now, that Ecolab, message actually reminded me that maybe we should now ask Sanjay, right, to actually, give us some remarks and share his experience, what Best Buy, does with employee resource groups. He also has a personal story about dealing with disability, and disadvantages. So, Sanjay, off to you.
Sure. Thank you, Arun, and thank you for asking me to follow Guy. I can tell you for a fact that I'll not be able to follow that kind of an act right there. My commendments to you, Guy, for all the things that you've been able to achieve, and best wishes for your continued efforts. My name is Sanjay Tarkanambi, originally from Bangalore, India. I came here to the US in around end of 91, 92. I've held, senior leadership positions, particularly in the IT infrastructure space at various companies, including ACT, Pearson, and now currently at Best Buy. I've been with Best Buy for a little over 7.5 years now. On a personal note, I'm married to Sheila, who I celebrated our 25th anniversary this year with. I have 2 boys, Sumuka, who is a senior at the University of St. Thomas, and Saurabh, who is going to be a sophomore at Gustavus. My passion is around inclusion and diversity. I've been fortunate enough to co-chair the diversity and inclusion committee for the digital and technology division at Best Buy. I'm the executive sponsor for the Asian employee resource group at Best Buy, and I've been trying to focus on becoming a better ally for a number of different groups, groups that are disadvantaged specifically. But I have a long way to go in terms of continually learning and actively participating in the conversations. And this is an awesome platform for such conversations, and I truly appreciate the opportunity for being on these on this panel, and looking forward to some awesome dialogue. On a kind of a personal, Arun mentioned, I'm also familiar with some additional challenges, especially from a disability point of view. I'll share my story, or my family story. I come from a middle class family, but was very fortunate to be born to parents that instilled hard work, ethical values from a very young age. Don't get me wrong, I've done some crazy things in my life, but fortunately, I knew my guardrails. I was also very fortunate to have some amazing mentors and sponsors who helped me grow my career. Very blessed with a very supporting and loving family. And like everybody's family, we have our challenges. Our older son, Sumuka, who I said is 21 years old and is going to be a senior at the University of St. Thomas. He was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, degenerative muscular or muscle disorder when he was about 4.5 years old. The prognosis is not very good. It's a continually debilitating condition where your muscles get wasted throughout your body. For those that don't know, all of us have a protein called dystrophin that regenerates the muscles that we break, and we break muscles every time we stand, sit, walk, fall. But our body has the ability to regenerate those muscles. But in kids with muscular dystrophy, they lack this protein, and when they do any activity and break their muscles, their body doesn't have the ability to regenerate those muscles. So it's or a period of time, you lose the strength in pretty much all of your body. And for the last 7 years, my son has been on a wheelchair, but that doesn't stop him. Like I said, he is a senior at University of St. Thomas. He is double majoring in political science and music, and he is my courage. Whenever I look at the new norm here and think about COVID and think about all the racial injustices that are happening around us, I always look at Sumuka and kind of he gives me the strength and reminds me that when we are all resilient and courageous, despite the challenges that you have, you can always thrive. So having conversations like this, making sure you're being a true ally to a number of disadvantaged communities, those are things that are necessary for us to overcome some of the challenges that we face today. And I'm also very fortunate to work for an organization like Best Buy. Best Buy truly embodies the meaning of inclusion and diversity. A lot of people, just so we talk about what this means, a lot of people ask me what inclusion and diversity means. Diversity, in my opinion, refers to the traits and characteristics that make people unique, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, social class, physical abilities, or attributes, religious and ethical value system, national origin, differences in opinions, backgrounds, and life experiences. That's what diversity means to me. And inclusion is a constant nurturing of an environment where diversity is not only welcome, it is encouraged and celebrated. Inclusion enhances individuals' life's worth, and it basically lets you know that you're wanted on a team, in an organization, in a community. So making sure you're paying specific attention to including different members, members of your teams with different backgrounds and thoughts and, race, etc., like I mentioned before, is extremely important, and especially in these times where we're all grappling with the new norm. Best Buy is focusing on leading inclusion and believes leading with inclusion and believes it paves the way to diversity. Recently, our chief inclusion and diversity officer, his name is Mark Irwin, his remarks were, inclusion paves the way for a deeper understanding and respect for differences and creates an environment where diversity can flourish, which is absolutely true. Without inclusion, you can talk all you want about diversity, but it won't matter. So what I would urge companies and even individuals is, pay specific attention or particular attention to inclusion and making sure everybody's voices are heard. And if not, you need to be an ally to them and make sure that other people's voices are heard. At Best Buy, to encourage all of this, we have 7 different what we call employee resource groups. We have an Asian employee resource group, Black employee resource group, disabilities group, Latinx, military, pride, and women's ERG. Best Buy believes in unleashing the power of our people and utilizing their unique talents, life experiences, beliefs, and background to create an incredible experiences for our customers. We aim to attract and invest in top talent and foster an inclusive culture that creates growth opportunities for employees, empowering them to bring their whole selves to work in order to be engaged in the company's transformation. So that's a pretty strong message, and we live by that all the way from our CEO on down to every individual within the organization. And we'll talk more about some of the specifics as we discuss as part of this panel. I do also want to, kind of take this opportunity and, in spite of everything all companies are doing, microaggressions and outright racism, unfortunately, are becoming very prevalent in our society. And we all have a very important role in combating this evil. One thing as an ally you can do is to step in and take a stance in supporting anyone that is a victim of racism or microaggression. Do not condone jokes or slurs or offensive comments in your team meetings, in your departments, or in your company, or even in your community. Having candid conversations on various topics is extremely important, and we do that very well at Best Buy, and I'm really proud of that. So with that, I'm eager to participate in the discussion, and back over to you, Arun. If there's anything I missed, I can definitely bring it up a little later in the discussion as well.
That was fantastic. I think Guy will agree that you outdid him, right, Guy? Yeah.
I don't know if I'll buy that, but thanks.
Yeah, and just to add, right? So thank you so much. And you talked about ally, and I remember, when I was there, Robert Joly was the was the CEO then, and one day he just comes up onto the stage and in a fully Indian attire, and he's speaking Hindi. I'm like, wow, imagine that connection, right? I think that was a great message. So thank you for sharing the story. Next, let's move on to maybe we'll switch over a little bit. Maybe we will go to Miguel. Tell us about sports and twins and diversity and inclusion over there? What's your role? What are you passionate about?
Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me, no?
Yes.
Okay. So, first, thank you from the India Association for ongoing every year doing an incredible job to work together and make change and make really change that are sincere and change that is authentic. My role with the twins, first, when you hear my English, you know I was not born necessarily in Minnesota or in Duluth. Many of you know my history, so I came from Puerto Rico, and life, God, or whatever put me to do the job that we're doing now. But I don't speak any English, and my father died when I was 17 years old. And I promised myself that my future family is not going to live the same kind of challenge we have, because we was a low-income family and we don't have money to pay for my father's funeral, and I don't have the opportunity to go to college. But when I promised myself to do that, that's why I came here to the United States, because everyone talk about this wonderful place that you can come and you can succeed and be a very successful person. But nobody told me the small letters that came with that statement. Really was hard, very hard. And not speaking English, regardless what you know, people make judgment for how you look from outside, and they don't take time to understand what you have in your mind, in your heart. Many days of crying, many days of frustration, bullying, so I started scratching, cleaning floor. And I don't say this kind of stuff just only to say so people can feel, oh, poor guys, No, I'm not poor. I'm grateful that many of those things happen in my life, because that gave me the vision to see the possibilities and see, put more power in my vision goal to be sure I can change my life or my destiny. My daughter was bullied so bad that she didn't want to continue the school in elementary school, and she told me that why, and kids laughing her, bullying her, all thing that a kid in elementary school have this kind of experience. But at the same time, I understand her, because the same thing happened to me when I spoke with her. I said, I know what happened because the same happened to me. And she said, you know what, that the kid don't want to play with you either. And yeah, the big ones, the bigger kids, the adult people don't have the time to understand that we're human, we're people, we have hope, we have dreams, and we came to this country not to take advantage of nobody. We came to this country to try to really accomplish a goal, that something that we don't have in our life. But to make a history short about that, we made a deal, we hugged, we cried together. But now she's a lawyer, and she had her own office of law. And she's working in immigration law. And then my time from cleaning floor was moving forward, and then I came for the twins. People said to me, oh, wow, so how you came to the twins? I don't have idea. Because I know I was not in Puerto Rico, said I'm going to come to Minnesota to work for Minnesota Twins. I don't know that the Twins exist, So, and so I came here, I say for two reasons. Maybe life bring me here to the Twins, or someone that we respect that people don't believe in the same belief I have. Someone that I calling God bring me here to do a mission. So for 12 years, I'm doing this with the Twins. For 30 years, I'm living in Minnesota. And from day one, I say this, and people maybe was a little concerned if they hiring the right person. I'm not here to sell tickets. So
can you imagine the ownership say, oh, whoa, we slow down. So we are in the ticket business. I said, no, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to be sure that why the community, minority community, should select the twins as their choice. Why we are the choice for our people to come to downtown, pay a high price on ticket for parking, pay a ticket for enter to the game, and also pay for the food. And why us? So my role with the twins is more about showing them that we care, showing them that we're authentic, showing that we really do this for a right reason. And I can tell you for the 12 years, the challenge always have been there. And the challenge will be there, regardless of many things that you do, you know. But when you battle so many challenges in your life, when you always work 3 times or 4 times like other person can work in 1 time, when you say something nobody say that's good, but when someone that don't look like you or like not look like you say the same thing and they say, that's great, you know, you develop your strong spirit, you develop a strong power in your mind, and nothing can defeat you. That's why I'm grateful for everything that happened to me, you know. But now, and the time is changing. The time is changing. People say it's changing. Well, COVID-19, but the COVID-19 also brings good stuff. You know, when you start to see in the media, when people go and take pictures because they can be in contact with the grandpa or with the grandma that is in hospital or is in some institution for adult people, and they're so concerned and worried. They want to talk with them, they want to meet with them, and maybe the whole year, the past year, yet they never contact them, and now they want to. So COVID-19 is bring us the opportunity to analyze where is our priorities as a people, as a business. Where are really, what is important for us as a community? If today is our last day because we're infected with COVID-19, what will be the first thing that you will do? And I can guarantee to you, if we really take seriously and learn from what we're living today, we are going to change our priority in life. And we are going to see that many things that we put as priorities are not the one thing that we are going to do if we find out that we're close to die. So then came the George Floyd. People say, you know, yeah, it's time to do things. Really? 400 years. 400 years take, and plus the burn of Minneapolis things to people got it. It's incredible how humanity works. And the thing is this, the challenge that we have today with diversity or inclusion are not new, been there forever. So we don't need to wait for another kind of event like this to assume our responsibilities as a community, as a business entities. The Twins have an obligation to be proactive in the community because we exist because of the people in the community. Baseball will not exist if we don't have fans. Those fans are all welcome to be part of the Twin territory. Everyone is diverse. Every human is unique, and we need to take care of our brothers and sisters. For corporate people, don't forget where you're from. Don't forget who brings you here to this country and sacrifice themselves so you can have now the education that you can work in corporate America. Then give back to those people that are behind you. You know, the way that you can be more successful is when you help other person to be successful first, and you don't need to, you're not waiting nothing for yourself. That is the message that we preach and work with the Minnesota Twins organization, that we are beyond of baseball. You know, and if we do our part, where people can see that what we do is real, is authentic. Also, we had limitation. I don't say that, and I don't say that angels flying in Twin Stadium, because I'm not. I had challenge, I still had challenge, and I'm going to have challenge. But when we put people together, like India Association, and we put other community working together with common goals, and you not only look the color of the skin, you look more their heart, their mind. You know, if you don't know nothing about African American community and you think that you can help, read history, talk with people. And that's what we try to do. Talk with people, really no make assumption or nothing, and work together to be sure we really have a united community. Last thing I'm going to say is this. The reason that we are not working together, always I say that the challenge of one should be the challenge of all. Always. But to understand what does mean, we need to talk. We need to talk. We need to hear people. We need to learn history. And we need to understand that that's the challenge of one should be the challenge of all. It's nothing else. That if we not do that, we are not going to have a good society. So we need to build humanity in everything that we do. I'm sorry. I know a preacher, you know, so, but I have a passion for diversity. I love what we do, and I love what India Association do, and they know I love that.
Wow, that was awesome, Miguel. I mean, I was just taking furious notes, right? And you're saying challenge for one is challenge for all. I mean, that's a superb takeaway. And it also reminds us, you know, many of the Indian nations here logging in probably are in the technology industry, myself, you know, and one of the things we do is something called continuous improvement. And you just reminded me, right? You're continuously challenged, but continuously planning forward, continuously improving. That is awesome. The other thing, it reminded me of this Linux system called Ubuntu, and I was always curious, why did they call it Ubuntu, right? And it basically powers most of our application servers, probably even the Zoom. But as I dug into it, Ubuntu has a meaning, and I think it resonates with what you said. It's basically an African term, which says I am because of we are, right? So, and it's basically humanity towards others, which you embodied in your own message. So thank you. It's resonated very well. Now that was interesting, and let's move on to Weena, right? And Weena, you got a tough act here. Yeah, so, and I'm pretty sure you'll pull it off. And I'm so impressed with your resume. I'm so impressed with what you do and why you chose to do. I mean, you have so many things which, you know, you're a woman of color, you're extremely educated, you know, and you must be facing so many things, and you're here, right, helping the poorest of the poor. I looked at the statistic you had explained to me that the clients you take are what? Is that true? 187% lower than the poverty line? You got to explain to me. I can't figure that out, right? So here you are.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. First, thank you so much to Srini, to Srividya, to Arun, for everyone to having me here. And so, and thank you so much to the other panelists, just Guy, Sanjay, Miguel. I've learned so much from each of you, and I'm so thankful to be here. So very briefly, so I'm Veena Iyer. I am now the Executive Director of the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. But I think most importantly, part of my story is that I am the child of two immigrants from India. My parents are ethnically Tamil, so from Chennai, but they grew up in Mumbai. And my father came here in 1969 in order to attend school at the University of Minnesota. So he, like many Indian Americans here in the United States, is here because of the 1965 Immigration Act, which finally opened the doors to lawful immigration here in the United States to folks from Asia and from Africa who for a long time had been denied immigration here or had been forced to migrate, obviously, in the case of enslaved Africans. So that's where my immigration story began, is my father coming here as the first in his family to come to the United States. My mom came in 1974 after they got married. And all of you who have ever filed a visa petition for your as a lawful permanent resident for your spouse, or even as a U.S. citizen for your spouse, will I think laugh when you hear that my father was so upset after my mom couldn't get here for a month that he had all of his U.S. citizen friends write to Senators Mondale and Humphrey at the time, complaining about how my mom hadn't gotten here quick enough. And then she got here a month later. So that is how our family got here. And I myself was the first person in my family who was born in the United States. And so I was born right here in Minnesota. I left actually when I was 5 because my father got a job in Texas, but thankfully was able to get back here about 10 years ago when my husband got into graduate school here in Minnesota. And now we are a total Minnesotan family living here in St. Paul. And we have 2 beautiful daughters who are 6 and 8. And actually I was able to convince my parents to move back here. So they now are Minnesotans again too. So we're a total Minnesotan family other than my brother. So Arun talked a little bit about my experience here, and I think it's, so at the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, we represent individuals who are low-income immigrants here in Minnesota in a variety of areas of immigration law, naturalization, lawful permanent residence. We also do a lot of work with individuals who are victims of crime, who are eligible for immigration status on that basis. We help DACA recipients, and we also do a lot of deportation work as well for low-income immigrants whose ability to stay here in this country is threatened by deportation proceedings. So we do a ton of that work, and that work is really why I do it. It's not what I've done my whole life, though it is what I started doing when I first graduated from law school, and then I've now been at my office for about a year. But I do it because of my family and because of my family's story. And I also do it because I've seen what can happen when folks can get caught up in the immigration system through making a small mistake in for example, a small criminal issue that can end up getting, frankly, one of my best friends from high school, who was also Indian American, but whose parents had not been able to afford for them to apply for citizenship yet. She was a lawful permanent resident, and ended up having an issue with the law as a result of an accident. And there was a potential threat to their immigration status. And so experiences like that, experiences when I first started as a lawyer and was doing immigration work, brought me to this work and makes me believe that it's so important and so vital. Diversity and inclusion has always been a part of who I am as a result of my personal story. And I think one thing that's important for all of you who are out in the audience, who are in the, who are out in the world of, in the corporate world, I think it's important. I actually started my, I actually spent the last 8 years at a corporate law firm where I was an employment attorney focusing on, and I did a lot of work on diversity and inclusion issues, and I was also the head of our diversity and inclusion group there. And I think that so many of the messages that have been talked about today are so important to the work that I did and are important to the work that all of you all are doing, which is being an ally is so important. Asking ourselves tough questions, particularly I think in the management role, about who is it that we think should, for example, are good fits for positions, or when we are critiquing work, are we being harder, for example, on women, on minorities, on people who are different than us, and really interrogating ourselves about our own decisions. I think those are really, really important questions for us to ask in this moment and in every moment. And then I think that the question about what are we doing in order to combat racism, and it can be small things. It is conversations we have with our family, and it is also big things like standing up for what's right, statements on diversity, inclusion, on anti-Blackness, for example, in this time with our companies. So it's a lot that we can do, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this community and doing it together with you. So with that, I turn it back over to Arun.
Thank you very much. So there, we have a time for a few questions, right? I mean, it was such wonderful stories, and you covered so many things built on each other, and such strong messages. So one of the question is for Sanjay. I think Sanjay, I mean, you represent for many of the folks as, you know, has someone who has broken a kind of a barrier, right? A ceiling. You know, these invisible ceilings. You have risen up the executive, you know, positions, and maybe you have some questions or suggestions about how one should think about when people get stereotyped in a place. You want to go in a different place, and how do you recognize? I'm sure you have recognized some kind of barriers, and how did you, you know, be resilient? That is one thing that comes across, and persistent in saying, look, you know, I want to be there. This is what I did. Any tips you have?
Wow. Thanks for that question. You know, I think the way I would answer that is, the growth within an organization starts within yourself first. You've got to spend, you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to make sure you're developing your skills, particularly for people from the Asian countries. You know, a lot of you have technical skills. That's the reason why you come here, right? You're given a H-1B visa, you're given a job because mainly for your technical skills, and not just in the area of technology, but whatever area that you're focused on, you have that expertise. But what you also need to spend enough time on is, you know, building your communication skills, building your skills of networking. It is extremely important to have a mentor, you know, that can guide you through different aspects of your own personal development and you know, situational awareness. Getting coaches to help you with some of the skills that you need to develop, and more importantly, you know, finding a sponsor for you, right? Like I said before, I had a number of mentors that were also my sponsors in the companies that I work for, and what made them sponsor me is, you know, the hard work and the delivery of on your commitments, right? So those are the things that you need to focus on, you need to invest in, and when you do, good things will happen, right? At Best Buy particularly, I think you know, we are focusing extremely highly on, you know, making sure people that are part of a disadvantaged community are finding that mentors within the organization, outside the organization, sponsoring them for different roles, that they are capable of. And, I think there was an earlier question as well that was posted. How strong is Best Buy's pipeline when it comes to diverse leadership? And I feel it is extremely strong. I feel, just very recently, there were a bunch of announcements that our CEO did. And when you looked at it, other than one or two people that were white males, everybody were either women or people of color. And these are, people that are raising to the ranks of executives. So there is absolutely, a path forward for, everyone. But it all starts with you, and you need to take the time to invest in yourself and build your network, and that's how you can break the ceiling. Did that answer the question, Arun?
Oh, that was more than answered, right? Exceeding expectations, let's put it that way. So that's awesome. I think we have time for maybe one more question, and I think it's for Guy. Guy, there's a question saying, has the Father Project ever worked with fathers who live in other states, or have you considered that?
We have, especially considering the fact that there's not a whole lot we can do in terms of other states outside of finding out exactly what is their issue and what their resources currently are, and try to navigate them, because
do we just lose Guy? Guy's frozen. Or is it me?
No, we lost him.
Okay.
I've worked with guys out of town. We have worked with when we have worked with guys from out of town. We try to get them connected to their local resource. But our hope is to continue to expand and replicate what we're doing outside of not only the Twin Cities, but in other states as well. But again, more capacity of staff to do that is only going to get us there to serve more folks. Because in my personal opinion, every community that thinks fathers are important should have a fatherhood program.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Guy. I think that's pretty much what we have time for today. Obviously, the questions are far, far more. I think you've answered so many questions, but also I think the conversation has generated so many more questions, which is usually the richness, right, of it. So I want to thank MR, if he's still here, for his keynote. Thank you, Guy, for what you do, for fathers. I'm a father, so I'm going to go hug my kids, a little bit. And also think about, for people who struggling, right, and giving a different perspective. Thanks for what you do. I mean, the cause that you are for, what, the passion you bring. That's amazing, right? Thank you for that story. Miguel, I took more notes than ever I could. I've got new quotes from you, right? I'm pretty sure we all did. It was, just your personal story of resilience. I mean, that's one of the things is like resilience, right? And still your love for everybody, right? Equity, thinking about your fans, your customers, how important they are, and to say, making this amazing Twins team accessible to everybody, right? I know I've enjoyed, it's going to Twins games is like a bonding thing, right? It's a bonding. It's like cricket, right? It just goes so damn slow. Anyway, no, I'm just saying you need to come up with some, quick versions, just like cricket has got like 10 hours. Just kidding. Yeah. And then Guy, thank you very much. Sanjay, just your personal story and your ability to break through the ceilings, your quiet, leadership, what Best Buy does, and I think it's a great message, just like Ecolab about employee resource groups these days, and all of you guys asking us to take action. And I think that came out very thing that, just backseat is not good. We got to take a stance. I think that's one thing I'm going to take away, right? Either it's Black Lives Matter or whatever that is, and about the microaggression to be like cannot condone, right? It is amazing. With that, I'm going to, hand over to Bondi, the Vice President of India Association of Minnesota, for closing remarks. And I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to learn the time.
Hello. Thank you all for joining today's event. I got to say that I've learned a lot in the last 2 hours. At 5:30, I knew a little bit. Now I feel like I need to learn a lot more. So I need to go back and, do an introspection about myself. And I got a lot to learn is what I learned from this session. So I thought I was heading in the right way, but I just realized that I need to do a lot more learning than what I was thinking. So I want to thank Mr. Rangaswamy and our guest speaker, Mr. Steve Grove, and our panelists, Miguel Ramos, Sanjay, Veena, and Guy Bowling. Thank you all for being the panelists. And Arun Bachu, thank you for helping with the moderation today evening. And I do want to thank our leads for this event, Swati Agarwal and Jeevan, who have put in countless hours to bring this format and everything together. And this is not going to stop here. It's going to be an ongoing conversation. We see this as the beginning of the conversation and not the ending of the conversation. The event may end, but it's the beginning of a journey for all of us. And it's not only this conversation will be on our channel. And we hope this will take us to the next level where moving towards a path of learning and helping each other. What each one of you brought together, we will take it as learning, and we hope to, together, we will try to make this a better place. So I want to thank everybody for joining, and have a very good evening and a very good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Bondi.
We may just have a poll question,
Yes,
second question in the poll.
We have a quick poll. I'm sorry. I'll take 1 minute for a quick poll. And
just one last minute of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. I hope you guys have this poll on your screens. Give it 2 more seconds. And done. Thank you all for participating in today's event, and have a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation today. Wishing you all a very happy evening and a happy weekend, and hope you all join us tomorrow for the second edition of India Fest at 12 noon, live from our website. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
can we have the panelists stay back just for a few minutes? Thank you.